What's up, everybody? Today I want to talk to you guys about a few new books I've added to my personal collection. My first ever graded slab from CGC, something I picked up at a local comic shop in town that I had some credit at, and a few other things, so let's get into it. So this is a little bit of an older randomized group of books. This is stuff that I've kind of collected over the last couple of months here. I had, in my last video, I talked to you guys about the store credit I had at one of my local comic shops. I finally burned through that, and it's interesting because I finally made the decision that I need to just do one fell swoop and get a book that matters to me. I had picked up one thing that I'll probably show you guys in this one as well that was a bigger important book to me, but otherwise I pretty much have burned through that almost $1 at a time. It was just short of a $200 credit, or it was a $200 credit. I have one graded comic that I basically bought the comic from the store, asked them if they could send it to CGC for me so I could save on having to do the whole shebang myself. I don't have a membership currently, so it just made sense for me to do that then. Now I wish I'd gotten the book and sent it myself, but that's another story. So anyway, getting into things here, I had $200 credit, spent $50 on my graded comic and send off for that. I know I could have worked with him probably on the price, but whatever. I was really overexcited, very anxious because I was trading in like half of my toy collection that I've ever had, so on and so forth. So I pretty much expected to get nothing, got $200 as the offer, and I was like, yeah, cool, sign me up, bro. So $50 was spent on my comic that I will show you guys in the future when that's back from CGC, whenever that happens. So that was $50. I got a $20 key comic that I'm really excited about, very glad to have in my personal collection. Tell you guys the story of that soon. And then pretty much some facsimiles, some dollar hauls like you guys saw in my last video, stuff like that, and then one slab comic. So we'll get to that. All right, let's get into it. So first book here, She-Hulk #1 facsimile. This is such a great piece. I'm really stoked to add this to my collection, and I apologize for like glare on the books and stuff like that. They are all bagged and boarded just for my sake, and you know how it is. So if it's not coming in perfectly clearly, I definitely apologize. I want you guys to see how cool and clean these copies are, but nothing in my collection will absolutely shatter you. I just read Journey into Mystery #1 today from 1952 on Marvel Unlimited and was like, wow, that's a cool book. I wonder if I could get a low copy for, low grade copy for an affordable price. End up looking it up and it is a $19,000 6.5 comic book. So yeah, that's not going to happen. But regardless, still very happy with my personal collection. Just don't want you guys to be like, oh my God, how dare you not show me the back left corner on your Hulk 181 or something, or something to that effect. But still really cool. I love the Savage She-Hulk Volume 1 series. It is such a cool comic book. All of them are great. I'm really only through like, I want to say 10 issues of it so far, but I love it. There's a Man-Thing feature. I'm working on getting that book as well. And moving on here from that. So next, speaking of Savage She-Hulk, we've got issue #5, I want to say. Let me double check on that. Yes, cover #5. Really cool, really interesting story. She-Hulk, what I love so much about the retro comics like Savage She-Hulk and stuff like that is there are so few infinite story arcs. Like, for example, when I first started collecting comics, I bought into a Batman comic series, an arc, a Detective Comics arc, and I want to say it was like, I don't know, 20 books or something like that, and it just never seemed to end. Maybe less, maybe like 15 or 12 issues, but it was first and foremost a weekly, and the writing wasn't great, and it felt like an eternity that was never ending. So anyway, coming back to these guys, what I think is so special about these books is that they have so many like one-off little non-consequential, non-sequential book stories in them. I just think that's really, really neat. This was one of them. This villain featured in this book may pop up again in Savage She-Hulk later on in the series, similar to Fantastic Four and all the other superhero arcs where they, start bringing people back when they are, I don't want to say out of ideas, but, you know, trying to bring back a familiar face. So Savage She-Hulk number 5, I think it's in really great, nice condition. Just a really cool, clean comic book. I really wanted to add it to my collection. I'm very excited to have it, so definitely cool. I flipped through this. Basically, my comic book collecting journey has been a very educating one, I would say. Very educational. I have gone from blind buying books. I've gone from not really knowing what I'm looking at. I have 2 vintage Batman covers, or, you know, when I say vintage, like 70s, 80s. So I have a couple of these Batman covers, and I actually ended up buying 2 of the same, which I'm sure has happened to all of us at some point. But what was interesting to me is I was really bummed about buying it twice. It wasn't cheap. I talked in the last video about how cutthroat the prices are at my local comic shop, and it was not an affordable comic. You know, it was a few bucks over what it should have been. Anyway, so come to find out, I opened one of them, and the more expensive issue of the duplicate is actually a second printing. And I think it's really funny. It's the same cover. It's a really cool Batman with like the chopped off head, and the eyes are all X'd out. So a really cool cover, but just really blew me away that they charged $6 for the second printing and $4 for the first printing. So just a lot of lessons learned, but I made sure to flip through this one. It is a first print. It looks beautiful. The art is intact, no gripper holes or anything like that. So just a really cool book. Next up is an Avengers, let me see here, Avengers 27. This is a very far from clean, very far from nice condition comic, but still just a really, really cool cover. Let me just triple check why I bought this here. So it has, yeah, it's got the, you know, most of the gang is all here. I really love Marvel corner boxes. I've talked about that before. I don't know, unfortunately, if I can get it to focus here, but one of the appeals to me are always these cool corner boxes. This one has Hulk, and funny that there's not really a Hulk featurette on the cover here, but I have really been into Avengers. MCU movies have, you know, basically brought me into the Marvel side of comics, so no surprise that I like the gang, and this was a cool cover that I saw when I was kind of in my dollar bin rampage. Next up, very different theme from the Avengers, but a Disney comic, a Donald Duck, and featuring the boys, the nephews here, the ducklings, you could say. I really love this comic. There is definitely significant damage on it. The corner up here, and I don't know if it's the lighting or what, but I'm having a lot of trouble getting focus here, so bear with me. But it's a Gold Key comic, and it is very, very beaten up. I don't know if it's fully comprehensive in there, all intact, but I can't really pass on any dollar comic, especially when the store that I bought this from is, again, ridiculous with their pricing. Anything with Walt Disney on it that is remotely passable grade, they'll throw a $10 minimum price on. So to find this one for $1 with this really popping, cool colored cover, I had to grab it, so that's a great one. The next couple are going to be pretty similar from one another, but still great nonetheless. An Elf comic. I will have to double check. Let's see. Okay, so this is Elf 23. I love Elf. My wife and I, when we relocated to the new state that we're in, we both really found a lot of comfort and happiness and joy from watching all the Elf shows, episodes. He's just like super funny and cute, and I was so delighted to see that there were comic series. Of course there were, like what's more 80s than taking your alien life form show and making a comic book series or multiple out of it, but I was really stoked to find these in the dollar bin. Actually, I should correct myself. My wife found them, and that makes it even more special to me, but we also have another Elf. I didn't leave any Elves behind in the dollar bin. 21. So we've got 21 and 23, so we'll be on the lookout for 22 at some point, but another really fun, cute Elf. Elf could literally be doing whatever, and I would buy the comic. Like, he's just so cool. I hope to one day have enough funds to just like throw away on basically buying a lot of them. I've seen a lot of the multiple collected issues of Elf's up on eBay and stuff like that, but it's slightly more than I want to pay. If I get a bunch of expensive comics, I basically can't get a lot of single comics that I want, so gonna wait on that for the future, but still a really great comic, and they're both in really nice shape. I guess there must be something wrong with them for them to be in the dollar bin. Again, this store is not particularly generous with their deals. They're not trying to get people to buy comics in that way. They're just trying to get rid of their garbage, in their opinion, and very subjective, because I love it. This time I'm actually going to look at the number of the comics. So this one is Captain America issue 420. I thought, obviously, because I'm immature as hell, 420 is hilarious, and also a really cool, like, deathy, dark gothy cover. The skeleton, I'm always drawn to comics with skeletal stuff on it. This is actually the only Captain America I own, unless I happen to have purchased another in the dollar bins here. I'm pretty sure. I just cataloged all of my books the other day, and I don't recall any other caps unless I missed some, but if I had, they would all be dollar bin. Probably older, volume 2 or 3 later on issues, still modern for sure, but really cool cap cover. Definitely had to get that. This is Guardians of the Galaxy 50th issue. It's a foil variant cover. I like the gimmick covers. I have learned more about them recently. Obviously, this was probably printed to high hell. I don't know if speculators bought a bunch of these comics, because they thought, like, shiny would mean money or anything like that, but I am a pretty much ex-scene kid from the early 2000s metal scene, so shiny foil, gold, silver, I'm in, so I had to get it. I love it. Next is Fantastic Four 345. Fantastic Four is no more. Dinosaur cover, I definitely have to say, yeah, hell yeah to that. Dinosaur cover is really badass and really cool looking. Have not opened this one up. It's difficult for me with all of my Fantastic Fours. I have so many at this point now from dollar bins. I would like to skip ahead and read them on Marvel Unlimited instead of cracking these open and basically discovering how gross they are inside because they were in a dollar bin. But I have been trying to make it through kind of painstakingly. Like anybody who's read very classic comic books, you guys all know that they are depthy. There is a lot of text. I typically read Marvel Unlimited on my cell phone, so my screen is, that big. It's tiny as hell, and makes it quite difficult for me to watch everything or read everything very clearly. So I'm like pinch zooming and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it takes me a lot longer to read one issue of Fantastic Four than pretty much anything modern, because, modern comic books barely have any dialogue, as we're all probably aware of. So just a funny little backstory. I just really want to read all of these, but I wanted to go from like 1 to et cetera, before getting to like the 300s. I'm on, I think, Fantastic Four like 23 now. So I am in the double digits, and making my way along, but I've just stopped to like read a lot more other stuff. I'm pretty much bouncing all over the board now. Avengers 333, Avengers 333, had to get a Doctor Doom cover. Difficult, next to impossible for me to pass up anything with the Doom on it. He is just like probably my favorite Marvel villain. I really can't wait for them to do more with him in the movies. Probably gonna have to wait like 10 years because I think the next one is like the Kang Dynasty type stuff. I don't know anything about that era of Marvel really, but still very cool, excited for it. But Doom is the guy. Watched the early 2000s Fantastic Four recently, and I loved it. I don't know if that dude is from, the guy who played Doctor Doom is from like Charmed, the early 2000s show or what, but I recognized him and he was great as Victor. So 331 Avengers as well. Probably got this, I think, because of the She-Hulk outfit. I just think it is a really cool little outfit. I love it. She's in like a sporty, cool thing. I don't know if I can barely see my little screen, and I don't think it's zooming, but still, very cool outfit. I love She-Hulk, had to get that one too. And as you guys can see, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to these books because they were my nickel and diming my way through that comic book shop and my credit. And like I said, I've been very conflicted on whether I did the right thing or not by kind of doing the dollar bin hauls for myself. And, you know, ultimately, I think if I could go back, I would have more quality over quantity. You know, these dollar books, I will never regret getting them. It's just whatever, it's in the past. But if I could have done it differently, even funnier backstory here, the shop owner, when he gave me the credit, I asked for a gift card, and he was like, gift card? Nobody ever does that. Usually they have something picked out that they want, so why don't you go look around the store? And, you know, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to get 50, you know, I'm going to get $200 comics. Like, hell yeah, increase the surplus of my issues. And then in reality now, on the other end of basically spending all my money on dollar comics, I wish I had saved up and gotten like 2 cheap slabs or 1 really expensive slab that would save me from having to spend that money in the future. You know, the old buyer's remorse, kind of. You know, I'm very happy. These covers are all really beautiful. Pop, even this random Avengers one has such a cool color to it. But just an interesting insight, you know, I'm not super good at telling myself what I should and shouldn't spend my money on, so it's just very, very interesting to me, as always. All right, so getting those out of the way, this is probably one of the less new comics that I've gotten in the past few months. It's one of the Disney variants for the 100th anniversary of Disney. Huge Disney fan, if you guys haven't guessed that already, but I had to go ahead and get this. I'm getting all of them, of course. But this one is an homage, obviously, to Fantastic Four #1. I love this cover. Mickey Mouse as Mr. Fantastic is just, like, super cool, and I love it. So Pete as Mole Man's monster, really, really dope. I had to grab this. I have another one, the Avengers #1 cover variant over in the corner. I have it framed. Walmart has these great cheap frames. They're like, I want to say 8.5 by 11 inches, so they just fit comic books like beautifully, and it looks amazing. And it was like $2 a frame, but literally since I bought the one for that Avengers comic, they haven't had them in stock, so I've just been screwed. And this is just like sitting in a bag and board and making me anxious pretty much every day because I want it to stay safe and blah blah blah. So eventually I will hopefully be able to order some of those frames on Walmart's website, and they're just super great. So something for you guys to know as well. Okay, this one is really special. So I was at another local comic shop, or a not so local. None of them are like close to me, but anyway, this is Do You Pooh Gunslingin' Pooh Bear. I had to get this, you guys. It was $25, which is what they said they paid at Comic-Con. I think it's from 2021 New York Comic-Con. So got it for cost, opened it up. It's a cool one-shot story. Like Deadpool Pooh Bear is like fighting all these multiverse Pooh Bears. Super, super fun, cute comic. I absolutely love them and was really, really stoked to get it. So really fun, love the art. I'm a huge Gunslinger Spawn fan. I actually had stopped pulling comics for several months prior to this because I was on a Pokemon phase, and I truly regret not continuing to pull Gunslinger Spawn. I just went to this shop and asked them randomly to check my drawer because they said after so long they actually empty them, and they had a ton of my books in it still, including Gunslinger Spawn 7, which I actually put in a different bag, so I don't know if I'll get to show that to you, but regardless, just really, really cool. I saw this, and my wife and I looked at each other, and we were like, yeah, whatever. You know, you're probably used to other channels, $25 is like the new $2.50. For me, $25 is still $25. That's quite a bit. So I was like, dang, I need this. Where are we gonna find this? It's it's number 149 out of 500 issues total. That blew me away, you know, considering the print numbers on so many other comics. So I had to get it. I absolutely love it. All these Pooh Bear covers are just so cool, and that's a whole other rabbit hole that I really didn't know I needed to find out about, but I'm so glad I did. So the next one is also super, super special. This is a Scotty Young Fantastic Four variant cover for issue number 25, I believe, of the, I think, 2021 run of Fantastic Four. Super, super overcomplicated story at this point. I was telling you guys about reading all the retro ones. Take me back to those days. I don't think I like that everybody has kids and adopted kids and all that. Super wonderful for them to have new additions to the Fantastic Four family and whatever, but I don't know. It was way too overcomplicated. I did like the story. I read that issue 25. It's the beginning of a new story arc, but I was so very lost. You know, clearly there's so much going on. But anyway, this is signed by Scotty Young, Sanctum Sanctorum Comics. I will link them in the description. I have no affiliation, but I love ordering from them. They're very prompt and very, very safe shipping, always in a Gemini mailer, and everything is like bagged tightly as well inside of that, not only just bagged and boarded, but really, really grateful to them. Their order cut off. They had emailed me randomly and were like, we're going to be at an event and Scotty Young is going to be there signing comics. So if you want any one of these, and you know, they were all very reasonably priced. I think I paid 25 bucks. So, you know, $5 for the comic and $20 for them to go to the trouble of signing it and blah, 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 sending it back to me. So really, really cool. You know, you can definitely tell this was not a personalized signed comic. It, you know, clearly is his rushed, you know, what do you call it, convention signature, but still nonetheless really cool. I don't got certificate of authenticity there, and a really cool Sanctum like sticker that I'm sure you won't get to see the cool details on. But you know, for me, I don't get to go to a lot of conventions. I don't have that expendable income to like have a grand or something together to buy the tickets, plus getting to go and, you know, rack through all of the bins and stuff like that. That's something I'd love to do in the future, but at the moment I can't. So to have an option like this was so cool. And I do know that they have some additional supplies of signed comics. I don't think they have this cover anymore, but they did do quite a few Scotty Young variants that are still available. So Sanctum Sanctorum, again, out of Michigan. Definitely check those guys out. Like I said, I'll link to that. You can see the other signed ones if you want one yourself. This one was at the higher end of the price spectrum. 25 bucks for this. I saw some $30 covers, and I think some like $15 ones that are signed. So really cool way to get a signed comic. All right, so like I was saying, we've got Gunslinger Spawn 7 here. That just goes to show how far behind I am. I want to say they're on like 13 or greater now with Gunslinger, but what a cool cover, man. Just like, you know, cool silhouette, like pistol. I love Gunslinger Spawn. Everything about it is badass, even down to the horrible grammatical errors and everything. I love it. I am here for it. So I actually had in my bin a blank cover variant, and I've always wanted blank cover variants. I thought it would be great. And lo and behold, it was a really cheap paper quality, really bad consistency and texture. And I actually, for this next comic, Planet of the Apes #1, which I need to read. I have yet to read it yet. I just got one copy of it because I am a huge Apes fan. But anyway, both of these comics, Gunslinger Spawn 7 and POA 8, or Planet of the Apes 1, I got a blank sketch variant for both, and just the texture and feel of them was a lot lower quality than I had hoped. I really wanted it to be the high gloss. Just something is really clean to me about it, having the trade dress and title, you know, on there, but it's a blank cover, you know, that, I don't know, if I sketched or had an artist sketch for me, etc., that would be so cool. But ended up leaving those behind so I could grab that Do You Pooh Bear comic, and I don't regret that decision whatsoever. All right, you guys, last but absolutely farthest from least is my first ever CGC slab. I did not send this in. The local shop that I go to, that I have my credit at, they send off stuff, anything that they deem is worthy of a high grade. I thought it was really funny. They told me they wouldn't do anything valueless in their opinion, which I personally, you know, grade is important. My thinking is like, if I have to buy a 6 now so that one day if I have more money I can buy a 9.8 in the future, I don't really care. That works for me. Anyway, without any further ado, here is an 8.0 Werewolf by Night number 21, and I just think that this is such a clean, beautiful book. Can't really show you guys all the details, but there's the grade, 8.0, and I'm so sorry, I really think my camera is struggling because it's like really overcast today, so it's like really shiny and reflecty in the room right now. But this is my first ever slab, you guys. It is a beautiful cover, has a few different werewolves on it. It's got the little corner werewolf, which I think is just so cool up here. Little corner box style character. Just such a great, cool book. I went ahead and read this one, even though I'm only on like issue number 10 of Werewolf by Night. Really, really cool story. Something that I look forward to exploring that actual story arc a lot more, since it kind of seemed to have come in. I think this is the last book of that arc that 21 is from, so just really cool. I paid $60 for it with my store credit, so in my opinion, I paid nothing at all for my first slab, so I consider that a major victory. I just think it is a really poppin', cool, beautiful cover book. I am on the hunt super hard for Man-Things, Werewolf by Night, old Marvel horror comics, pre-code, which I can't afford, any horror comics for that matter, and I owe so much of my reignition into horror to Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing and stuff like that, so really excited about it. I absolutely love it. 8.0 off-white to white pages. The back cover is, in my opinion, very clean as well. No major water spots or damage like that. And I apologize, my camera is just doing a muck-up job, but hopefully you guys can just listen to my wonderful nerdy voice and get the full appreciation of how neat this book is as I continue to work on these comic videos and making them look nice and pretty. Next time I'll close my window blinds. That seems to be a lesson here. With that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little ranty, as they all will be, so if you can get into that, thank you so much, and thanks so much for being here. Appreciate all of you on my wonderful comic journey. I love comic books, man. I have read hundreds, basically, in this past year, especially since I got Marvel Unlimited, and I just could not be more stoked about it. So thank you guys for joining me. Let me know if you see any Werewolf by Night covers out in the wild. You know, shoot me like messages, whatever. I want to know about them. I'm trying to buy as many of those as I can, especially if you can see a good cover, a good condition for a great price. Let me know. Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, all the greats, and I look forward to sharing the next haul with you guys. So thank you so much, everybody. Be safe and peace.